Member for Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There were some things I didn't get to say in my speech because I ran out of time, so I'd like to say them now. I'd just like to start off by saying, once again, which I've said in this House before, as an independent member and as a representative of the community, I am so tired of time being wasted by the two parties slagging each other off. It's a waste of time. It's not respectful to Territorians. I wish we could just move on from that. We're not in an election. We're here for people. Let's get on with what's in front of us and do it. I just want to go through some of the other things that I learnt in estimates for people who are listening who maybe they didn't get to hear. When asked about changes to the Anti-Discrimination Act, the Attorney General said, "We are reigniting the flames of freedom." She likened offending an Aboriginal person or a gay and lesbian person to her being offended by a glass of water. The new bill focuses on inciting hatred, and when asked, the Attorney General couldn't detail what that actually means. When the Attorney General was asked, she said she consulted, or in fact in media, she said she consulted on proposed changes to the law, including with the Commissioner. These are the changes that she announced on the weekend that Darwin Pride celebrated 40 years. The Anti-Discrimination Commissioner, when asked what advice he had provided, said that he had advised the current version hold. It is the strongest piece of vilification law we have in Australia. There is no need for further amendments. Our recommendations were to retain the current version of Section 20A and not to revive or reenact Section 37A. It was good to hear the Minister commit to further consultation and listening to the community. The Attorney General also confirmed that they removed $300,000 funding from the Anti-Discrimination Commission to conduct a racism review into police. I know in estimates last year there was a lot of discussion about racism reviews in various parts of the public service. It appears one of them may have happened, but it hasn't been released yet, and it doesn't seem to be that there's any progress anywhere else. When asked, the Attorney General couldn't define Dolly impacts, despite having introduced laws to imprison 10-year-old children. Just to make it clear, this legal principle is Latin for incapable of wrong and presumes that children under 14 don't fully understand the difference between right and wrong to have criminal intent. To be convicted of a crime in Australia, you need both a guilty act and a criminal intent, and children that young often do not have either. We heard that records on conflict of interest in Cabinet will be released in 30 years' time. That's in 2055, so don't hold your breath, everyone. The Attorney General said that she stands by her statement that we are not worried about the trauma you may have by being in a watch house or a correctional facility. Attorney General, many of those in custody are also victims. More than half of them haven't been sentenced yet. Isn't it your job to uphold the rights of all Territorians? I'm also so tired of hearing that it's mutually exclusive to care for victims and care for the rights of people in custody. It's not either or. I've got a long history of working with people who are victims of crime. I absolutely know that we need to do things to make sure that everyone's safe, but that doesn't mean that we need to cause harm to other people. The Northern Territory Government has previously restated its commitment to the Aboriginal Justice Agreement in this chamber, and that's welcomed. That includes reviewing recommendations from the various Royal Commissions, including the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. That commission recommended that police should not investigate police deaths in custody. And when asked whether the government would honour that commitment and support an independent inquiry into Kumanjai White's death, the answer was no. The Minister for Health told us that the public system can handle a 10% increase in births after the closure of the private maternity services with existing staff and no extra funding. And I just want to note that I know we're all so grateful for our amazing public health system, and we know that every woman who goes to have a baby will be totally looked after appropriately. But where are the extra resources coming from? What other services will be stretched? You can't just keep adding pressure without a cost somewhere. The Minister for Health also told us we don't make decisions without professional clinical advice, which is a wonderful thing to hear. But when he asked if he sought such advice for the trial introduction of OC spray, the answer was no. We heard that every day 60 to 80 hospital beds are occupied by older people who aren't sick, they're just stuck in hospital because there's nowhere else for them to go. This is not their fault. It's a sign of a broken aged care system and a lack of community support services. Our elders deserve dignity, not hospital hallways. And just to be clear, many people contacted me about this afterwards and they wanted to make sure that everyone's clear that those people are not there by choice and they're not there for free. They have to pay up to 97% of their pension. The Minister for Aboriginal Affairs said that it's very disappointing that the previous government failed to progress treaty. I'm disappointed too, Minister, as are so many people in the Northern Territory, and I'm further disappointed to hear you say that you will not be progressing treaty either. The Housing Minister told us that there are 283 vacant houses in the bush and we're waiting to hear how many vacant houses there are in town. But we do know that there are 3,619 remote and 5,439 urban applications on the waiting list, and each of them representing not only an individual but a whole family. The average wait time for a house in every region is 8 to 10 years. That's kids spending their whole childhood waiting for a home. We've heard this before in the chamber, but the Minister for Prevention of Domestic Violence confirmed that $9.5 million has been cut from two women's frontline services, one of which the Catherine Women's Crisis Centre she hasn't even met with and did not know anything about that until they heard it in estimates. This is a budget where we're housing DV perpetrators in prison rather than victim survivors in refuges. We heard that there's 879 children in care and that this does not even take into account the more than 1,000 unallocated cases. And the Minister for Child Protection told us that she does not have the data on how many of these children have a care plan. And I want to note that I think the Minister was as disturbed by that as the rest of us. When asked, the Minister for Lands, Planning and Environment couldn't answer what his definition of climate change is and what causes it. We were told once again in relation to conflict of interest in the public sector that it's managed through a conflict of interest register. And we were told once again that no, we can't see it. No one is asking for personal details like where someone's children go to swimming lessons. What people want to know is whether private interests are influencing public decisions. That's a reasonable expectation in any democracy. So, Madam Speaker, thank you for allowing me to finish that speech. I just want to say that once again, as an independent, as someone committed to representing both my community of Johnston and the interests of people beyond that in this chamber where we're making laws, I thank people who come to these processes with that broad interest, the interest of the whole territory at heart. I know all of us are here to try and make things better. I really look forward to a future where we can put aside the political point scoring. I'm saying this to both parties, where we can put aside the sniping, where we can put aside saying you did this, you did that, and actually get on with the job of making this the place it could be. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Are there any more speakers?